The morning the four bodyguards walked into the little neighborhood café, everyone thought they had come to arrest someone. They were dressed in black, moving with the kind of seriousness that made conversation stop and spoons freeze above coffee cups. But then they stepped aside, and four lawyers entered behind them. Their eyes searched the room until they found one person, the tired-looking woman sitting quietly near the window. And when she saw them, the color drained from her face. What nobody in that café knew was that this woman had been receiving a small act of kindness every morning from a single father, and that kindness was about to uncover a secret worth millions. If you believe that kindness can change someone's life, even when nobody is watching, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes, the smallest kindness becomes the beginning of the biggest miracle. Every morning at exactly 7:15, Daniel Carter pushed open the glass door of Miller's Cafe with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, holding his hand. Daniel was 38, a widower who had learned how to become both a father and a mother after losing his wife 3 years earlier. He worked long hours as a city bus mechanic, but every morning before his shift, he stopped at the cafe for breakfast with Lily. He never had much money left after rent, school expenses, and medical bills from his wife's final year, but he always tried to make Lily feel as though they had everything they needed. One rainy Monday morning, Daniel noticed a woman sitting alone near the window. She looked exhausted. Her clothes were old and damp, her shoes were cracked, and her hands trembled as she stared at a cup of plain water. She had no food in front of her. Lily noticed her too and quietly asked her father why the woman wasn't eating. Daniel looked at the 2 slices of toast on their plate, then at the woman. Without saying much, he pushed one slice toward her. The woman looked startled. She tried to refuse, but Daniel simply told her that his daughter hated seeing anyone eat alone. The woman finally accepted the toast with tears in her eyes. Her name was Anna, though Daniel didn't learn that until several mornings later. After that first day, Daniel began ordering one extra breakfast whenever he could afford it. Sometimes it was toast and eggs. Sometimes it was oatmeal. On the days when money was tight, he would quietly give her half of Lily's breakfast and tell Lily they could eat more at home. Lily never complained. In fact, she began saving little packets of sugar and crackers for Anna. Soon, the 3 of them developed a strange little morning routine. Anna always arrived before Daniel, sat by the window, and waited quietly. Daniel would bring her something warm. Lily would talk about school. And for 20 minutes, Anna seemed to forget whatever terrible life she was running from. Daniel assumed she was homeless. He never asked embarrassing questions. He never demanded an explanation. He simply helped. One morning he noticed that Anna was shivering badly, so he took off his own jacket and placed it over her shoulders. Another day, he discovered that she had been sleeping in an old bus station because she had nowhere else to go. Without hesitation, Daniel found a small women's shelter nearby and paid for several nights with money he had been saving to replace Lily's broken school shoes. When Anna discovered what he had done, she cried for nearly 10 minutes. Daniel told her that someday, when she was strong enough, she could help somebody else. He never expected anything in return. But Anna was hiding something. Weeks passed, and Daniel noticed strange things. She seemed frightened whenever expensive cars stopped outside the cafe. She sometimes looked over her shoulder before entering. Once, a man in a dark suit stood outside watching the window, but when Daniel approached him, the man disappeared. Anna begged Daniel not to ask questions. Daniel respected her privacy, but he quietly became more protective of her. Then one Friday morning, Anna didn't come. Daniel waited. Lily kept looking toward the door. 10 minutes became 30. Finally, Daniel saw Anna walking across the street. She looked terrified. She hurried inside, sat down, and whispered that someone had found her. Before Daniel could ask who, a black SUV stopped outside the cafe. Anna stood up so quickly that her chair fell backward. Four men in black suits entered first. They weren't police officers. They were bodyguards. Behind them came four sharply dressed lawyers carrying leather briefcases. The entire cafe fell silent. One of the lawyers walked directly toward Anna. Daniel instinctively moved between them. The lawyer stopped and calmly explained that they weren't there to hurt her. They had been searching for Anna for nearly 6 months. Her real name wasn't Anna at all. She was Elena Whitmore, the only daughter of a billionaire businessman who had died unexpectedly after discovering that several executives inside his company were stealing millions. Before his death, he had arranged for Elena to inherit the entire company. But after his death, members of the board tried to have her declared mentally unstable and seize control of the business. Elena had escaped after realizing that people she trusted were planning to make her disappear permanently. She had abandoned her expensive clothes, jewelry, identification, and even her name. She had lived on the streets because she believed it was safer to be invisible than to become a target. Daniel stared at her in disbelief. The lawyer then revealed the most shocking part. They had finally located Elena because of an old photograph from the cafe. Someone had recognized her face. They had expected to find a frightened heiress hiding behind expensive security. Instead, they discovered that for weeks, a struggling single father had been feeding her with money he could barely spare. One lawyer looked at Daniel and explained that they had investigated him. They knew about Lily. They knew Daniel had given up money meant for his daughter's shoes to pay for Elena's shelter. They knew he had never once asked Elena for money, information, or favors. Daniel felt uncomfortable. He said he had only done what any decent person should do. But Elena began crying. She told everyone that during the darkest period of her life, Daniel had been the first person who treated her like a human being instead of a fortune. He had never cared about her surname, her inheritance, or the expensive world she had escaped from. He had simply seen a hungry woman and offered her breakfast. The lawyers had come with an offer. Elena wanted Daniel to become the director of a new charitable foundation she planned to create. Its purpose would be helping single parents, homeless families, and people escaping dangerous situations. She also wanted to pay for Lily's education and make sure Daniel never again had to choose between feeding his child and helping someone else. Daniel immediately refused the personal money. He said he didn't help Elena because he expected a reward. Elena smiled through her tears and told him she understood. That was exactly why she trusted him. Months later, the cafe became the meeting place for the foundation. Daniel still woke up early, still drove Lily to school, and still worked on buses whenever he wanted. He never became obsessed with wealth. Instead, he used Elena's resources to help thousands of people who reminded him of the woman he had once seen sitting alone by a rainy window. And every morning, Daniel and Lily still sat at their old table. There was always an extra breakfast on the table. Sometimes it was for a stranger. Sometimes it was for a frightened mother. Sometimes it was simply a reminder of the woman who had once needed one piece of toast to survive another day. Years later, Lily asked her father why he had helped Anna when they barely had enough for themselves. Daniel looked at his daughter and smiled. He told her that money can buy a meal, but kindness can give someone the courage to keep living. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more stories of hope, courage, and second chances to people who need them. And before you leave, I want you to write one special word in the comments: kindness. Let it be a reminder that you never know what someone is carrying behind their tired eyes, old clothes, or silent tears. Because Daniel thought he was simply buying breakfast for a poor woman. He never knew he was giving hope to a woman who had lost everything. And Elena thought she was hiding from the world. She never knew that the man who offered her a piece of toast would eventually help her rebuild it.